Hello, Squirrel Tribe. Now listen, this is going to be a little off kilter from what we normally talk about, but I came across this post on X that immediately caught my attention and is beyond fascinating to me, especially when you compare countries, when you compare Japan to here in the United States of America. And again, this is going to be the most off the wall topic we've ever talked about, but if this does not make you go, or interest you, I don't know what to tell you because this is absolutely crazy to me. So there's this video. I want to show you guys this. We're not going to have volume or anything because it's not really necessary, but this is inside a Japanese execution chamber. All right. The reason this is important, if you guys can read this up here, I'll go ahead and read it to you if you can't. But basically, this is inside a Japanese execution chamber in Japan, obviously, for people who are on death row. Number one, I don't know why I did not realize that other countries have death row besides the United States of America. Ignorance, 100% ignorance on my part. Numerous other countries have death row. Just crazy to me. But this in Japan, it says here that death row inmates aren't told their execution date. They find out on the day they're being executed. Do you understand what that's got to be like when you are sitting in jail on technically death row in Japan and you have no flipping idea when you wake up if you're going to finish out the day and go to bed or if you're going to die halfway through the day because they've decided to execute you? It says a trap door opens below the inmate when 3 prison officers each press a button simultaneously in an adjacent room. And this is, let's see if I can, here's those 3 adjacent buttons. So these are the buttons, right? This is where the officers stand. And over in that room over there is where the prisoner is. So just think about this. You're in Japan and you're eating your lunch or whatever. I'm assuming bento boxes. That sounds racist, but I assume that's what everybody eats over there. I have no clue. So you're eating your lunch and you're just, shooting the shit with your other cellmates and whatever. And then these 3 guards walk up and they're like, hey, bro, come with me. And then they take you to this room that literally has like a square in the middle of the floor and then set you in the middle of the square and then walk out of the room. Don't say a single word to you. And all you hear is the countdown of 3, 2, 1, and then a trap door opens. So then I was curious. I'm like, okay, well, what happens when this trap door opens? And y'all, it is ridiculous. Oh, I'm going to tell you, I did a deep dive-ish kind of thing here. And I was curious, how long does a person in Japan stay on death row versus how long a person here in the United States stays on death row? Because when people are on death row here in the United States, I swear they live their entire lives and then probably just die of old age because they're on death row for so incredibly long. Now, the reason that I personally have a problem with this whole entire thing that we have going on, not because I don't believe in death sentences. I do. That's my personal opinion. If you go out and murder an entire family, you don't deserve to live. But here's the problem. We as a country then take that murderer and put him in jail, let him sleep in a nice bed, which a cot, but still a bed every single night with a roof over his head. We put 3 meals in his belly and we give him, outside time to play basketball, shoot hoops and whatever, and hang out with your friends, lift weights, play on the computer, learn some things, get a college degree while you're in prison, all these different things that you are allowed to do while you're waiting on death row, while you and I, the taxpayers of the United States of America, are paying for this murderer to have said cot, said roof over their head, and meals and fun times and everything else. While the family who got evicted from their home because they could no longer afford where they live because of high ass inflation, the cost of groceries, the cost of Medicaid or medical bills, the cost of everything else, the cost of rent or mortgages, whatever, the cost of insurance has gotten too much, or they've lost their job. Now they're living on the streets or in a shelter, hoping for the goodness of people to donate to these shelters so these people have food and clothing and a bed and a roof over their head. Those people who have done absolutely nothing wrong in life are at the bottom of the totem pole, while the people who have murdered people and done who knows what are sitting up. And I know it's not cushy. You'll have people out there and go, being in prison isn't glamorous. Well, no shit, Sherlock, but it is still a bed, a roof, and 3 meals at the end of the day that our homeless veterans, our homeless men and women out there aren't receiving. So I have an issue with the fact that as taxpayers, you and I are spending bukus of money to keep these people alive in jail while these people on the streets are having to do without because our government is effed up. Now in Japan, I was curious. I was very curious. So let's go through this because y'all, fascinating. How long does Japan keep a person alive on death row? That's my first question, because I'm thinking to myself, is this a lifelong thing? You go in at 17 and you get, the end of your life at 89, or you go in at 17 and before you hit 18, lights out, right? So according to this, in Japan, the time spent on death row varies widely, typically ranging from 5 to 15 years. 5 sounds like not too much compared to what we have here. 15 years still sounds kind of long, right? You think to yourself, man, 15 years, that's a long time to sit on death row, right? And not know. Can you imagine every single day of those 15 years, you wake up scared shitless that today is the day you die. Your butthole stays constantly puckered. I don't know how that works for, those impromptu conjugal visits between prisoners, but you're constantly on the fight or flight, I think is the feeling. That fight or flight, probably always a little bit of both, not knowing if you need to fight somebody off or if you need to try to run because you're about to die. But according to this, the average, though, is 6 to 8 years based on historical data of all of the death row inmates in Japan. However, some inmates wait much longer, decades in extreme cases, due to legal reviews, retrial requests, or delays in the justice minister's authorization. For instance, since 2007, execution wait times had ranged from 1 year and 4 months to 18 years and 6 months. The Code of Criminal Procedure advises executions within 6 months of a finalized sentence, but this is rarely followed, as retrials and pardons can extend the process indefinitely. As of early 2025, 107 inmates remain on death row, many awaiting resolution for years. Listen. The ability to continuously retry and go through all these things on, again, taxpayer money, your money, whatever else, is crazy to me. I know that there have been people who've been found guilty, and it turns out later on in life they were actually innocent and they have been released, and thankfully they weren't on death row. But how often does that really truly happen, especially in today's time where we have more ability with the technology that we have for fingerprint, facial recognition, DNA, all these different things? I feel like maybe 30, 40, 50 years ago, it made sense to kind of hold somebody and keep retrying as new evidence presented itself or as new technology came out to kind of go along with possible new evidence, right? But now we've had technology forever and a day. It is nothing new. The fact that we have people out there who have clearly been found guilty that are still trying to get these retrials over and over and over, Menendez brothers, it's crazy that they are allowed to continuously sit in jail on taxpayer money instead of, death penalty. And again, death penalty is not for everybody. Obviously, people will say you can't be Christian and be okay with the death penalty. People will say that you can't be a good human and be okay with the death penalty. But at the end of the day, I'm still okay with the death penalty, whether I am Christian or a good human or not. I am still okay with it. My personal opinion, if there is without a shadow of a doubt proof that somebody has committed the most heinous act humanly possible, why should they live on our taxpayer money? Again, when other people who are completely innocent are trying to scrape by and aren't able to make it. So then I asked, y'all ready for this? What is the average wait time for people on death row in the United States? Because obviously we have to compare apples to apples, right? And it says here, the average wait time for people on death row in the United States is about 19.4 years. That's the average. Whereas in Japan, the average was 6 to 8 years. Here in the United States of America, we are at 19.4 years average based on data from 2020. For those executed in 2020, the average time between sentencing and execution was approximately 18.9 years. This duration has increased over time, with earlier decades showing shorter wait times, which you would think it would be the other way around. But earlier, it would be around 6 years in 1984, rising to 22 years in 2019. Delays, once again, stem from complex appeals processes, legal challenges, and issues like drug shortages for lethal injections, which took me in a whole new rabbit hole. My question was, well, how do people in Japan get executed when they are on death row? Y'all ready for this? Remember we talked about the square in the floor, and then it said the floor drops out. And you're thinking to yourself, why would the floor drop out? Are they falling into, a pit of alligators? Are there a bunch of blades down there? It makes you think of like a Saw movie or something from Final Destination. No, it's because they hang them. Spoiler alert. So according to this, In Japan, inmates on death row are executed by hanging. The process is carried out in one of 7 execution chambers located in detention centers across the country, such as in Tokyo, Osaka, and Nagoya. The condemned are typically notified only hours before the execution, sometimes not at all. They are blindfolded, handcuffed, and led to the gallows. 3 prison officers simultaneously press buttons to release the trapdoor, ensuring no single officer knows who triggered the mechanism. The procedure is highly secretive with limited public disclosure. So what it means is out of those 3 buttons, you all push them at once, but only one of those 3 actually opens a trapdoor. And the reason why they do it this way is that so nobody who's pushing the button is living with the guilt of the death of somebody else, which I think is honestly pretty nice to do for the officers there in Japan. Now here in the good old United States of America, I said, how do most inmates on death row die? Ready? In the United States, the inmates on death row are primarily executed by lethal injection, the standard method in all 27 states with the death penalty and the federal system. The process typically involves a sequence of drugs to sedate, paralyze, and stop the heart, though specific protocols do vary. Some states allow alternative methods under certain conditions. So you have the opportunity of electrocution. It's an option in states like Alabama, Florida, and Tennessee. So 3 states will allow you to be electrocuted, right? You also have the gas chamber, which is nitrogen gas or cyanide. That's available in Arizona, Missouri, and Wyoming. Now, I hear the word cyanide and my brain, of course, goes to James Bond, because why would it not? And the one with, what's his name? Something Barnum? Hakeem Barnum? That's not right. I don't remember his name. He's married to Penelope Cruz, I think. And I'm pretty sure it's the Skyfall one where he was supposed to be put to death or something by cyanide. And instead it just destroyed his face and like he has a fake jaw and stuff. I love that one, that movie. Anyway, your other option, in case anybody's curious, is firing squad, which is permitted in Idaho, Mississippi, Oklahoma, South Carolina, and Utah. And for some reason, I can definitely picture those states being okay with firing squad, but I'm surprised Alabama's not in there as well. I would have thought so, and Virginia. But then hanging remains a rare option in New Hampshire. Out of all the states, New Hampshire is like, hang them jokers, right? So that is still an option in New Hampshire, though no executions have occurred there recently. Now, this is what's crazy to me. Lethal injections account for over 98% of executions since 1976, but shortages of lethal drugs and legal challenges have led some states to explore or reinstate these alternatives, meaning the electrocution, like electric chair, the gas chamber, the firing squad, maybe not the hanging, since New Hampshire's the only one who's really on board with it. Methods depend on state laws, inmate choice in some cases, and court rulings. Now, here's where, again, my personal opinion is, why in the HE double hockey sticks does an inmate have any kind of choice on how his life ends? Did their victims have any choice on how their lives ended? No. If we were to, think about this, just think about this. If New Hampshire were to start a petition for all the other states that said, hey, let's quit wasting our money on lethal injections and electric chairs and gas chambers and just buy some nooses, I feel like it would be a lot cheaper for every state that does have the death penalty. It would be a lot quicker. It would be a lot less painful. I don't know if painful is really the right word, but it would be quicker. There's so many things. But the fact that Japan, that is all they do. There is no electric chair. There's no gas chamber. There is no lethal injection. There is no firing squad. This is what happens. You are in jail. You have no idea what day you're going to die. And on a Thursday, we're like, hey, broski, come here. Come here. Go stand in that little square right there. No, just stand there. You're fine. You're fine. Don't mind this thing we put around your neck. Oh, look at that. And then you push buttons and then it drops and then it's all said and done and you're done. And the taxpayers, which I assume Japan is how they do it. I'm not sure. I know it's how we do it here. But then the taxpayers are no longer paying for that one person. But it's crazy how things are done so incredibly differently in other countries. And this is completely off topic, but I saw a swimming pool in India. And when I tell you, I have never been more just like grossed out in my entire life. Again, it's not meant as a race thing. It's not meant as a whatever thing, but we here in the United States of America are accustomed to a certain level of cleanliness. And when you see how other countries don't have that same level of cleanliness, it is something that kind of sticks with you. So I saw this video of people in India in a swimming pool, and I would have literally thought they were just swimming around in mud or shit water. I had no idea what was going on. The pool had hundreds of people in it. There was trash floating everywhere. It was brown. I mean, there was nothing that looked like a swimming pool water to it whatsoever. And my very first thought was, wonder what it looks like in the places that manufacture the food that we import from India. If this is what their swimming pools look like, what are the actual health standards in places? Which again, makes me very happy about the fact that Donald Trump, President Trump, has put all these tariffs into place, and then maybe we will start doing more homegrown everything, because we know the cleanliness level of, generally speaking, in the United States versus a lot of other countries. I am not willing to eat anything that looks like it came out of a place where that's what swimming looks like. It is, Google it, go on X, just Google India swimming pool. Thank me later or yell at me later, whichever you prefer. But either way, I saw that post on X about Japan and the executions, and fascinating beyond all belief to me, because it's definitely a difference in the politics. You have to seriously step back and look at it and go, what are the politics like in Japan? What are the politics like here? What are the politics like in India? Everywhere. Because the way the politics run determines everything. It determines how you live. It determines your level of cleanliness versus dirtiness. It determines how you die. It determines how you eat, how you work, what kind of house you live in, literally everything. And I don't know enough about Japan's politics to really have a say one way or the other, but I will say that when it comes to maybe their court system, they're doing something a little more right than we are, when we are spending millions upon millions of dollars every single year to keep these murderers and rapists and whatever else is alive for, on average, just under 20 years. Absolutely no sense to me. Absolutely no sense. Anyway, Squirrel Tribe, I love y'all. Most random conversation you're ever going to hear, but thank you for letting me have it. I appreciate you all. I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments in the comment section, good and bad. I know some people are about to chew me out. Perfectly fine. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. It would suck if we all thought exactly the same way. So until the next one, I love y'all. Have a fabulous night. Goodbye.